Hello, viewers, and welcome to another episode of Shake It Up with Sheikh. Today, instead of having a guest, we have a host, and this host is someone very special because this is really our homegrown youth. And I get excited to have any discussion with our youth. And I met John in the town meeting a few years ago. And I really became his fan because I get really motivated whenever I see our youth involved in local issues. John has been involved in town matters. I don't want to say town politics. I'll say town matters because in my opinion, town matters are not typical politics. That's your family, your daily business. So John Medlinskis is my neighbor. He lives in the same precinct as I do. I see John everywhere, walking, running around, and I'm really a big fan of John because of his hard work and his, giving back to the community. John graduated from Shrewsbury High, and now he's in Suffolk. He's a senior at Suffolk, and he's doing many things to give back to the community, and that's what we need in our youth. And honestly, I give your example to my kids that this is how I like to see my kids growing up and giving back to the community. So today our host is not Rashid Shaikh, it's John Medlinskis. So John, I give it to you. Now you run the Shake It Up with Sheikh today.
Thank you, Rashid. I really do appreciate, and I am very honored to be here with you today. And I just want to start by saying, can you tell us a little about yourself? I know you're very well educated. You went to UMass Lowell, you went to the Harvard Business School, and you also went to MIT. Can you tell us a little about yourself a little bit more?
Right. Thank you, John. So, I am fortunate to have some education. When I was growing up kid, I tell you, one time, one of my teachers' son came to meet him at the school, and he brought him in the class to maybe motivate us and introduce us, and he was doing his master's in education. And he introduced him and said, I honestly don't even know his name. And he said he's doing master's in education, and I was very impressed that somebody is doing master's. I was only a 10th grade student.
Wow.
And when he introduced his son, and he was very proud at him, and somebody who's a teacher and his son is becoming a teacher. Now that my teacher did not even have a master's degree. I think he had an associate degree actually. And his son is a great teacher. I was really big fan of him. But then when I saw his son is doing master's, I kind of saw, wow, I wish I could do something like that.
Wow.
So I always loved, education. I always wanted to get more education. And so I wanted to go to the best schools. And we are very fortunate to have, best schools in our state, right near our hometown. I actually used to drive to UMass Lowell from here. I used to drive to Harvard Business School. I used to drive to MIT. I actually did stay in Lowell for a little bit, but then long term I was driving to all these schools. I was very fortunate to have 2 master degrees, engineering and MBA from UMass Lowell. Then I went to, later on, I had a global job, and I had a family growing up, but since I had a passion to get more education, learn more, so I actually, every now and then I feel that I need to go back to school and learn more. So I went to then Harvard Business School. I was very fortunate to be selected from my company. At that time, I was working as a head of global supply chain for Nipro, and they actually sent me to Harvard Business School.
Wow.
And then they also sent me to MIT for supply chain management. And then I developed my own change management workshop because my education and training was in change management and leadership development. My job was to turn around the ailing units and train managers to handle and manage the change, and to really create a maximum value out of sometime negative force, sometime hidden potentials. So I did that around the globe, and honestly, by putting the engineering and management education and experience and the global expertise, I was able to develop my own change management workshop, which I delivered around the globe. And so I had few jobs in life. About 20 years I worked in the industry as a head of global supply chain operations, purchasing, manufacturing, engineering. And then in 2012, I started my own business. And most of my business is in Shrewsbury.
Oh,
And
wow, that's
I'm
great.
glad to give a very decent amount of business. I was doing my taxes the other day, and I was looking at there's a big amount we give back to the town, and I'm glad to create that value for the town, increase taxes and increase value for the town by developing, some of the, some of the neighborhoods, and I'm glad to do that, and I love to give back to the community just like yourself.
Oh, thank you, Rashid. I have to say that's pretty extensive, so thank you. Can you tell us about you being a town meeting member? You mentioned earlier you were a town meeting member. Can you tell us about why you chose to run for town meeting originally?
Yeah, so I don't remember exact date, but more than a decade ago, when I felt that I understand the system a little bit, and can I help our town? So I started going to the town hall, started talking to, our best town manager, Mr. Mergado, and I remember, him saying, if you really want to get involved, become a town meeting member, because that's really a body we look at. You have a good experience, you should become a town meeting member. So I actually ran for town meeting member, and I became a town meeting member, and then that's how I got involved. I got to know about the issue. I believe this is a great forum in the town. There are some towns which do not have elected town meeting members,
Yeah.
and then people take it for granted, and people only come in for a few things and they don't show up for most of the things. I honestly like our town government that we have elected town meeting members. People care, people vote, and I would definitely hope that more people vote. But yeah, we have less than 20% people vote in the town elections. But I think our town government is very, very important, very critical. And I like elected town meeting members, because then there is a responsibility and there is seriousness in the business. And these are a lot of people don't even know what town meeting member does. So if you allow me, I may just explain what a town meeting member does.
Yeah, please. I ran when I was 18, and a lot of my friends and people at the high school who were also 18 didn't know what I was doing. They're like, what is town meeting? And I had to explain it too, but please.
So I think town meeting is the legislative assembly of the town. It has an authority to build and modify bylaws within the ambient of the state laws, and it also approves the budget, and it reviews all the petitions and home rule petitions and all that, presented in there are usually 2 to 3 meetings. Sometimes there's a special town meeting, and it's a lot of fun activity. I really encourage a lot of our people to participate in that and learn about the town business, learn about what's going on, and then participate in the town meeting,
Yeah.
and become elected town meeting member and participate in that. I think that would be a great thing.
I think that as well. I hear that you're running for selectman in Shrewsbury. Can you tell us a little about why you're deciding to run for selectman this year?
I think this is a critical year in the history of Shrewsbury. We have a lot going on right now. We have, 2 seats up for election, and one of the selectmen incumbent is not running. So one of the incumbent is running and the other one is not. So I'm really glad that a lot of people have shown interest, and about 5 people throw their hat in the ring, and they are offering their services to run. It's a really good thing, and especially when town manager is retiring. We had a great town manager. He had really worked very hard to keep a discipline in our spending. So right now he's retiring, so we're gonna have a lot of deficit of domain expertise. He was our domain expert in the town. He knew how to balance the budget. Now he's gone. I'm sure he has trained a lot of people, but it's also important that we have some domain expertise, some technical expertise in the board itself. And the board get involved. Our board set the vision. So this is the perfect time in Shrewsbury to set the right vision for Shrewsbury going forward, so that we, do not see that gap with the town manager leaving, or with, and the other thing is the incumbent who is not running, actually not the incumbent, Henry Fitzgerald.
Yes.
He's not running. Henry's background is very similar to, my background is very similar to Henry's background, respectfully speaking. Henry has engineering and operation management experience, and same do I. And so basically, I believe that the town really need somebody with my type of skill set, a person who would have an understanding on engineering, construction, real estate development, management, and especially change management.
Yeah.
A lot of people, deal with the matters in a very typical, conventional way. Okay, well, we have an imbalanced budget, either reduce the services or increase the taxes. Now, I want to bring in a new thought that it's not only two ways to look at the pie. There are other ways to improve our situation and expand the pie. You don't really need to just look at, okay, either you increase taxes or you reduce services. Well, there's got to be another way. And there are other ways where basically you maximize the value and understand the hidden potential and utilize the hidden potential. Unfortunately, that's not done typically.
I know one of your slogans is get more for your tax money. Can you explain more about that? I know you kind of mentioned that, touched upon that with the town manager with those issues, but can you tell me why you chose that as your slogan?
Well, like I said, I think that's a great segue of where we left our discussion. Whenever we have a problem, we try to solve, just kind of typical ways, conventional ways. Okay, well, we do not have money, either increase taxes or reduce services. Do we have another way to handle it? What if we don't believe that we want to minimize the services? We don't reduce the services, but also, if you don't reduce the service, somebody's going to say, okay, well, then the money's going to come from somewhere, so we got to go raise more taxes. Well, have we really seen all the hidden potentials? Have we looked at all the pockets? Because there are pockets which are untapped and they have a lot of potential. And unfortunately, it's just like when the water is upstream, you do not know that water can actually produce a lot of electricity unless you throw the water, and you must have turbine. If you don't have, turbine, if you don't have it, and you throw the water, the potential energy convert into kinetic energy, but it kind of get wasted. To really take advantage of the potential of the water which is upstream, before it go downstream, you got to put a turbine. You got to have those domain expertise in there so that those domain expertise can run the engine and give you the benefit. You can have the power of electricity at the end if you put a right turbine there. And that's what I think I can do for the town. I believe I have the domain expertise. I can provide that economic engine. I know many folks who live in Shrewsbury, but they have their own businesses and they go out and all that revenue goes somewhere else. We have a potential, we have people to bring jobs here and increase the economic development here. We have a potential here to improve our activities and not decline our services, but we generate the revenue with a newly created value. That's what I believe, that you can get more for your tax dollar. If you maximize the value, then you can maximize your profitability and create more value and generate revenue.
Wow, thank you, Rashid. By running for Selectman, can you tell me some qualities that you have other than your business acumen that you can bring to the table that would be different than the other current selectmen that are already on the panel?
Well, I think we have a great panel. There are very, very good candidates, but I do believe that I have certain differentiators, which, they might have different differentiators. Um, I think there are few things for a selectman. The selectmen really need a well-rounded background, both technically and also from the networking point of view, from the likability. I really look at whenever we're trying to hire somebody, we've got to look at least two dimensions: likability and capability. Are you likable? Can you build the right network? And are you capable? Do you have domain expertise? So we already talked about the domain expertise. Now we talk about the likability factor, where you can really bring the harmony and connect the dots. And I believe that if you have the right domain expertise, if you are, have the right network, then and you have the patience to, deal with the matters, then I think you could create, a network among people, and then you can solve the problem and create the respect. Because if you, solve somebody's problem, if people have been doing business one way and you go there and help them, I assure you that they're gonna like the help you're gonna bring, because they're gonna see, oh, all right, this is a new methodology we use, and we brought another $250,000 into our revenue. Then of course we have that $250,000 available to deal with that deficit instead of cutting the services.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What is some campaign platform points that you have? What are some issues that you're campaigning on?
I think so. So going back to one more thing, when you said that how you differentiate, like I said, we have lots of good candidates in the race. However, I had certain experiences that other folks may not have. For example, they may not have the industry experience, how to turn things around, how to be a change leader. Okay, I have really done this change management and maximize the value. I've done that in the companies, and I built my business from zero to a certain value within a very short period of time. Now, the other benefit board have with me is I also understand schools. I was a member of Florida Street School Council with Joe Sawyer, a decade ago. When my son was going into Florida Street School, I also got involved and try to help the school with the school council. Then I was also a member of the calendar committee in Florida. Then we realized that there are charter schools here, and I wanted to understand what's going on in the charter schools. A lot of people criticize me, oh, I went to charter school. I went there because I wanted to learn what are they doing. When I learned that, I brought that back. Because when my son also went to ninth grade, I brought, I looked at the schools once again, and I look at it that there are three dimensions one should be looking from the school choice. Number one, what is the level of academia and education provided by the school? What kind of environment that school provides? Because you could have the best academia, but if you have a bad environment, it's not going to help you. And then the third thing really is, extracurricular and sports activities. If your school offer you academia, it offer you, environment, and it also, then if you get 2 out of 3, yes, of course, you get better. But, if you only look at one dimension, then you're not going to look at all three things, and you are not going to really get the right leadership out of that school. So to get the right leadership out of a school, you need this three-legged stool. And for a school choice, you need to really see that. I think there was a time in Shrewsbury when we were not the best in all these three. Right now, we are the best in academia in the area. We are producing the best education kids. We are producing best kids in sports, and we have an excellent environment. We have an environment that nourishes, that supports, these activities, and we have a budget that supports those activities. So I think we are very fortunate to have Shrewsbury High School.
Yeah.
And I think at this point in this situation with our productivity, I would really say that we don't need to have, you know, to support charter schools because what we are producing and what we have.
I will say I am a product of the Shrewsbury Public Schools, and I know you mentioned the strengths that we've had in the past years, and I have to say we have to continue that to continue to produce great professionals in the real world. Can you tell us now a little about when you've been campaigning, talking to residents? Can you tell us a little about what they've been saying their top issue is, maybe outside of your platform?
Yeah, so I think you asked me that question, that what are the top issues in the town?
Yes.
I think the number one issue, which has really creep up over, last, few months to a year, is really the water quality. Our water quality is a major concern. There's chromium in water. We do not know for sure where the contaminant is coming from. We don't know whether that is coming from the source. We don't know if that is really happening in the pipes, or maybe it's all the above. Now, I know that the town is investing in building the filtration system, but that is not gonna really help if the contamination occurs in the way. If the contamination occurs in the way, then we need to really overhaul our infrastructure, our piping infrastructure. So our number one problem in the town is, water quality. And the other issue really is, the water wastage. Now, about 40% of town's water goes unaccounted for. We don't know where that water is going. And if that water is going into the drainage, then it means our sewer capacity is going away as well. Then we have an I&I, infiltration and inflow wastage concern. I know the town is really working hard to reduce, minimize I&I, minimize, first of all, finding the lost water and minimizing it, but we didn't really have a whole lot of success. So we really need to put the lid on this, can here. And we need to figure out that how do we really focus on these issues. So we have a water quality issue, we have a sewer capacity constraint and I&I reduction. And then, we have major public safety concerns and, investing into roads and infrastructure, police and fire. I know we have some focus on all the areas, but some of the areas have been, neglected because some other areas required more attention. This is the time that we do need to look at the town issues as well as we look at all the other issues. If we do not focus on some of the public safety concern we have, that might become a bigger problem. And if we don't look at the infrastructure issues we have, that become a bigger problem. So we need somebody who would have a long-term vision and have the leadership to not just, do a cookie-cutter approach. Anybody could do a cookie-cutter approach. Our job as selectmen is to have a long-term vision and then work with all the agencies to set up that vision so that we can execute that. And if the new town manager needs some hand-holding, we should have some domain expertise to do that hand-holding.
That's great. That's really great. How have you been when it comes to talking to residents personally? Do you have any personal stories when it comes to meeting anyone in particular by knocking on doors?
Yeah, absolutely. So last time when I ran in 2009, I think I knocked probably the most number of doors anybody has in Shrewsbury. That's the only way I was able to reach out to people, get lawn signs, and I think you can check in the almost in the history of Shrewsbury, we never had that many lawn signs when last time I ran, and the only way I was able to get those lawn signs by knocking the doors and talking to people, because people were very hungry. They were not reached out, and they were saying, okay, we don't even know, we don't even vote. So honestly, my biggest request to everybody is that less than 20% people vote in town election. Sometimes 12, 15, 18% people
Yeah.
vote in town
It's
elections.
not good.
About 35 to 40% people, less than 40% people vote in state election, and around 40 to low 40s, vote in the presidential election. It's extremely important to vote. It's your money. It's your tax dollar. Uh, and if you want to maximize your tax dollar, you gotta vote. And if you say, "Oh, what is my vote gonna do?" Your vote is gonna do a lot. Please go out and vote. It's very, very important that you vote. And a lot of time, candidates don't even stand up because they know that only special interest, people with special interest go and they vote, and nothing's gonna change. But we cannot really presume that. When people did not assume that, look, Obama came to power. When people did not assume that, nobody predicted, but Trump came to power. So things can be changed with your vote, folks. You need to go out and vote. Now, my story is I have just started knocking doors and talking to people, and people are very enthusiastic about it. People come tell me today. Now we also have a social media
What do you do? What's it called?
social media website.
You do?
We do have a website.
What is your website called?
Excuse me. Yeah, our website is Elect Shaikh. So my last name Shaikh, which is SHAIKH. Our show is Shake It Up with Shaikh. So this is electshaikh.com.
And the Facebook page, how can I find you?
Is basically facebook.com/electshaikh.
Great.
So if you type Elect Shaikh, you will find all those things on Google too.
Great.
So we have put all of our strategies, our stories, our testimonials, all those things on the website, and we're going to be doing more. I am actually in the process of studying our opportunities, and then we will be talking more about what are the actual real opportunities which we can execute, and how do we actually maximize the value. Next time when we sit down, we will talk more about it. But right now, you ask me if I have really started talking to people. I have started talking to people. People are very enthusiastic. People are very excited. And they're excited that we have people who have that much education and experience, and they're willing to offer these services. Honestly, some of my friends say, one of my friends says, "Why are you running? You're crazy." Because, we were going to start another, construction project, and I kind of put a hold on it. And he said, "You're crazy to do that. Why would you do that for something which is not going to pay you?" And I say that, there is something to say about a passion.
Yeah.
If you can really help and touch the life of 30,000 people versus just change your own personal life, then honestly, I'm more than happy to put that project on hold. We all are here in this world for a very short period of time, and before we leave this world, we got to make this better than what we got in. We got to make it better for our kids. We got to make it better for our next generation. We owe it to them. If we have some skills and if we can change our lives, then it is incumbent upon us that we really give that change, give that back to our neighbors, our taxpayers, our town. And the way to have them share your wealth and your success is that when you actually give it back. So I want to really give it back.
Oh, no, thank you. I really do appreciate being here with you today. This was my pleasure. I really hope you the best in the election, and I look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you, folks. Thank you for watching another episode of Shake It Up with Shaikh. We'll meet you next week. Have a nice weekend and take care.